listening to the Casting for Fun podcast, the show that talks about entertainment, sports, music, and inspirational stories for all to enjoy. We're glad you could join us today. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Now, here is your host, Albert Pineda.
This is the Casting for Fun podcast. I am your host, Albert Pineda, and this is episode 75 of the show. I'm grateful that I've done this many, and I'm getting closer and closer to 100. Very, very excited for that. Returning this week for Wednesday, June the 14th, it's my good buddies, Dupre and Marcello Ambriz, to talk soccer. There was some big news that's recently been announced that Leo Messi is coming to the States, is coming to America to play for Major League Soccer, specifically for Inter Miami, which is David Beckham's team that he co-owns with his group of investors. So we're really excited for that. We talk about the impact that Messi can have for soccer here in America. We also talk about the UEFA Champions League final match between Manchester City and Inter Milan, and talk about Folarin Balogun committing to play for the United States, and preview the CONCACAF Nations League matchup between USA and Mexico this coming Thursday, the 15th. Before we get to all that, though, my daughter Avery has something she would like to say.
Thank you for listening to the podcast. Please enjoy this interview with Derek and Marcella.
Thank you, Avery. Okay, so here we go. Without further ado, here are my guests, Derek Dupre and Marcello Ambriz. So welcome back to the show, Derek and Marcello. Gentlemen, how are we doing tonight?
Fantastic.
Yeah, great.
Very cool, man. There's lots to talk about in the world of soccer, man, including the breaking news from this past week, which, I had a suspicion that it was going to happen someday, that Messi would come to play for Major League Soccer, but the day's finally come, so it's pretty cool. But along with that, I mean, I'm really excited about the United States national team, Folarin Balogun, if I'm saying his name right, committing to play for USA, UEFA Champions League championship match today. I mean, there's so much to talk about, and it's always cool just to get together, the two of you, just to talk soccer.
Yeah, I'm
man.
excited, man.
Very cool. So you obviously, I'm assuming both of you got to catch the game today, right?
Yeah, I did. Did you, Derek?
Yeah, I caught a couple minutes of it. No, I watched it. I thought it was a good game.
Yeah, I thought it was a good game too. I think as much as Inter thought they were like special, I think they were just like every other Premier League team who like stacked the back, parked the bus a little bit, and then when it was time to like counter attack, there was like barely anyone that they could throw. There was barely anyone to throw at that attack and stuff. So yeah. As much as I hate to admit it, like, City is clearly like a cut above others. So yeah.
No, that's very interesting. Yeah, I mean, the first half I thought was kind of on the slower side, but the second half really started to pick up, and then Inter came really close to equalizing and tying it, which would have been really cool if they had. But yeah, it was an exciting game. It was good, and then I guess, I mean, I don't know if you want to be even talking about it, the fact that Manchester City's winning the treble, or won the treble.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I think Man City have really sort of shown that if you have enough money, you can really buy a ton of players, man.
They've spoken by a true Arsenal fan that got their heart crushed this year.
But to be fair, like, it's one thing to do it on the league level, and then obviously on the country level. But I mean, beating, Inter, who look like a fairly good team if they were, when they're active, unlike they were today. I thought, they just showed like, even though you have a ton of great players that did cost a lot, there still has to be like the brains behind it. And, Pep is that guy. Pep Guardiola is that guy.
No, that's a good point. But yeah, it was an exciting game. Rodri, right, got the through ball or scored the ball from a through ball. It was really, really cool to break the Inter defense, and DeMarco's header hit the crossbar for Inter. That was
that was the two worst headers I've ever seen in my life. Like on the biggest stage, biggest moment of that guy's life, and it was like an AYSO, 6-year-old trying to head that ball in. Could you imagine? Wouldn't you want that back a million times? And and then of course you have Lukaku, who like blocks the second one, even though it wasn't Lukaku's fault. It was the worst. It was even worse than the original header, but it was even more like poetic justice that the header hits Lukaku in the back of the like a calf.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I feel bad that the whole conversation is that Lukaku was there, but I think it was, I don't know if it was Rodri or who's their center back. I keep forgetting for Man City, but it was, there was a defender in position ready to like kick that out had that gone through Lukaku, So you're right. I mean, it was a really bad headache. A header, dude, big time.
Yeah, I felt bad for that guy, but it's the way it goes. It's the way football goes, right?
Yeah, exactly. But I miss getting to watch it with the crew. I mean, it seemed that before we'd almost like get everyone together, like at some random place to watch it. I remember like going to, if you remember the McNeil's friend, Cynthia, who lived out in Burbank. I remember watching one of the championship games there. One of Tom's friends out in Eagle Rock, I think. So it was kind of just like, it was okay, I guess. I mean, I just watched it from work, but not quite the same. Cause I mean, you almost look at it like, the Super Bowl for European soccer. So not quite as monumental, I guess. But now watching it with buddies.
Yeah, I'm actually curious how many people tuned in, because if you see Man City versus Inter, it's like not a very sexy final,
Yeah.
Like you'd want like a German team or a Spanish team there, but it just wasn't a very sexy final on paper.
It would have been fun if Napoli would have made the final for sure. But again, it's just the fact that it's Inter, another big name. And then Man City, it's like watching the Patriots go to the Super Bowl year after year. It's just kind of, you don't get up for it, especially if you're not a Man City fan, So, no, I agree with you. It wasn't the sexiest of headliners. It was history, though. It was history to see, Pep, win a treble with the second team. And that was cool to see history made.
Yeah.
Do you remember that team that he won it with? Like, was it 2000?
Barcelona.
With Barcelona, right?
Yeah.
I mean, just like any team that has like Iniesta, Xavi, I mean, honestly, it's so overwhelming. Like, who was on that? Dani Alves. There's just so much talent.
I know, but if you look at all the great, managers of football history, you look at their squad and you just name legend after legend. So
sure, yeah,
give them due. But yeah, Barcelona, Man City, yeah, it's pretty impressive.
Hey,
he's the only one that's done
Derek,
it, right?
Are you twice
done the treble with two different teams?
Yeah, probably. And I think the second English team ever, I think.
Yeah, Man United did it first.
Yeah. Wait, so are you a City or United fan?
Shut your dirty mouth. Don't even ask me that.
No, now I need
devil
to know.
Till I die.
Okay, good.
You want to see the tattoo?
Did you guys see that video of of City fans at this pub in San Diego, and Noel Gallagher is there, and I guess he watched the game. He watched the match with these City fans, and
in San Diego.
Yeah, right. All I could think of, like, oh, these people are probably just now getting into the Premiership, like within the last 5 years. Chose like the easiest team to follow, But whatever.
Yeah, bandwagon.
Yeah, and I wonder if those people even knew who Oasis were, man. I mean, it was such a long time ago.
That's true.
Oh, snap.
But yeah. So anything else with the Champions League final, or you want to move on a little bit?
Just that. I thought it was a great game. When you listen to all the pundits now post game, all they talk about is how poor Man City played. And but they're all English, I guess. So
yeah,
you just take your win. I love championship games that are a brawl, a final should not be pretty. It should be scrapping, you need to scrap it out to win. So That's kind of my last comment as I was watching a lot of YouTube videos of all the recap. It's just amazing how all everyone could talk about is how poorly Man City played, and you're like, they just won a treble, like, and they just played a bunch of dirty Italians from Milan. Like it's going to be a scrap in Istanbul. Like you're in Turkey playing Italians. Like, come on, it's not going to be. You're not playing freaking Leeds United at the home stadium, so it's just different. So I thought it was as a impartial fan, I thought it was a fun game to watch.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I think I noticed though, like as soon as City went up. By the way, that goal by Rodri was pretty amazing.
Oh, impossible! The goalie had no chance. Like you can't stop that.
It was almost impossible for that ball to go in, but it somehow made like that. The amount of like space that he had on between the defender and the goalpost, that was insane.
That's why sports are amazing. Like when the sporting gods actually like let things play out, he had zero window of error on that shot.
Zero.
And then that header by Inter, he could have hit the front side of a barn, man. Like the goal was wide open and he just lobbed it up. Like you're like, are you freaking kidding me? You had this empty goal ahead of you and he couldn't put it in. And then that Rodri goal is just like zero room for error. And he just sneaks it right in. But I think justice was served.
But you like just even them going down by one goal, it changed like the sense of urgency to the game, because I mean there were a few instances where Inter was like pretty close to scoring, especially that with the header. I mean, I almost to the point where I'm like, dude, should we just choose and like flip a coin and see who goes down by one goal automatically before the game starts, just to see a fun a gnarly fight, because everyone's trying to like even out the game. I don't know.
Inter outshot City 6-4 shots on goal.
Oh wow.
And Haaland only had one shot the whole game. Like that guy was useless. Well, he was marked the game, which was impressive by Inter, so they were talking to Pep after the game, and he even admitted, he's like, man, these Champions League finals, it's a coin toss. They could have tied it at the last minute. So he was just, you're never safe. Anything can happen. And he's right. I thought they were gonna tie it up and go to overtime and PKs for sure. Like it just felt that way. And so I was surprised that it didn't. So hats off to the Man City defense.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you absolutely, Derek, that as a neutral observer, I mean, just an exciting game to watch. Maybe not the best, but it was still exciting and fun to watch, which is what you want, right? When you're watching sports.
Yeah.
Very cool, man. So let's move on to the national team, USA. I'm very, very excited to talk about this kid, Folarin Balogun. Marcelo, were you familiar with him before? Because I know he came up from the Arsenal youth system. I mean, to be honest, before the news broke a few weeks ago, I didn't really know who he was, but it's just been fascinating to learn about this guy that, born to Nigerian parents in New York City, but grew up in England his entire life. So had the opportunity to play for all three if he wanted to.
Yeah. So, he came up in the Arsenal Academy, and I think like now I'm gonna be a big time like Arsenal fanboy right now, but like, there was an instance where we had purchased a defender named William Saliba from a French team. And we bought him like 2 or 3 seasons ago, but we kept on loaning him out because he was young and he needed to get like some experience. So instead of like letting him sit and sort of, just not play often, they loaned him out, I believe, to another French team where he played like 2 consecutive seasons, and he like was I think he was named one of the best center backs in French football in League One. And now, like this past year, probably by far one of the best defenders that we have. And I think that's the same thing that they've been doing with Balogun, because with Balogun, he started really like showing signs of like progress. And I think this is like the sort of genius behind, a lot of the people who are running Arsenal right now are like, this guy's really good. If he stays on our team this season, he's not going to play a lot, but he needs more experience. So they sent him out to Middlesbrough last year, and then came back. And then they're all like, okay, there's still not like a starting spot for him. So what we're going to do is we're going to lend him out to this team in France, where he was like one of the top 3 scorers in all of League One. I think he either scored more than like Mbappe and Messi, or it was like one of those. He was like ranked amongst Messi and Mbappe.
Yeah, I saw the stat. The stat I had was higher than Messi and higher than Neymar, but I don't think quite as high as Mbappe. 21 goals in the past season.
Right. Yeah. And so now he's like really hitting his stride, and I think he felt snubbed by England because he wasn't chosen, despite being like totally balling it up in League One. And so now so that's why he was like, the US has been showing me love. I was born in New York. I'm going to go and play for the US. And so, I mean, it was big, huge. That's a huge signing, man. That's a good get right there.
Mm-hmm. Is he the answer that the USA is looking for? I mean, we talked about it extensively the last time the three of us got together about USA not quite having that number 9 killer instinct attacker. So could he fit the bill that USA is looking for now?
This is the best thing that's happened to us in a long time, but we can't call him the answer till he starts putting goals in the net, because we've been through this before over and over and over again with the US and bringing not foreigners, but winning the dual nationals, bringing them over, and even again, they're not even close to the same player. But you look at like Pepe, he chose us over Mexico, and then he just tanked, and I'm worried about this guy because he was lighting up League One. And then after the World Cup, he went cold, and it's kind of like he went cold when we all got, wind of him, and this huge US kind of fan base came after him, and I think he scored a couple goals to finish the season. But I don't know. I'm just worried about I'm a US fan. So, I'm just, snake bitten, but, Arsenal's going to sell him. So the people running Arsenal are brilliant. Yeah, they're going to get a return on investment, but he's never going to play for Arsenal ever. They're going to sell him this summer. And so I'm nervous on where he's going to go, and because what if he goes to a team that's going to put, all the weight on his shoulders and he starts struggling? That's the classic American player scenario in Europe, So again, maybe, I'm probably being pessimistic because, again, I've been, hurt in the past
before. Yeah.
so I think I'm just, it could only go up, from my depression. So we'll see, talk him down. So I'll be pleasantly surprised when he tears it up, but he's going to make his debut against Mexico.
That's what we're hearing. Yeah.
Yeah. That's going to be great.
Are you getting Freddie Adu vibes?
Yes. Just name any of them. Name all of them. Yeah.
And I think you bring up a good point. I think you bring up a good point. Like as much as we're like, I think we're just excited that we're getting a big name versus sort of like,
the
someone like
Marcelo,
Pepe,
is he's not a big name. He's a big name to us, but like you're saying, England snubbed him because he's nothing to really write home about. He did lead League One in scoring, yes, but then he had that huge drought, and he was never going to start for them anytime soon, and he was never going to play in the Premier League anytime soon.
Well, the thing about like not being chosen by England, I think like Jadon Sancho, when he was playing at Dortmund, he was being picked like fairly irregularly for the English national team. So I mean, I think, and this is where I feel like I'm just like hypothesizing here, but I think that Gareth Southgate just doesn't like choosing people who aren't in the Premier League for some reason.
Oh,
Because
for sure.
so I think like, Balogun playing in France and not being chosen, to him, it's like, well, he's got to show us. Can he do it on a rainy day and rainy Tuesday night in Stokes type
Yeah.
mentality? Like I think he just wants someone that he's choosing to be from the Premier League. Simple.
Yeah. No, I would agree.
No,
Yeah,
really,
but yeah, we'll see what happens.
very cool.
Yeah.
So Thursday is going to be very interesting. Potentially going to get his debut, and then again, anytime USA and Mexico are facing each other, whether it's a friendly or a competitive match like we're going to see on Thursday, it's just get the whole country up, and then we'll see how he gels and integrates into the team.
Hey, before we switch topics about the US, I'm more excited about than this get, which is a big get, is our under 20 team played amazing at the under 20 World Cup. It was a travesty that we ended up losing that game. That last game was it Uruguay, but we are looking good. And that, looking at the future of our boys coming up the system, that's more exciting to me.
And what's interesting too, though, a lot of these MLS clubs are choosing great kids, but then also playing the European game, where like we're going to sell these kids off to big name clubs, and then you see sort of like these under 20 nationals who are playing for Barcelona or playing for a lot of like Bayern Munich. They're integrating themselves into European, and then when they all come from all corners of the earth to play like a U20 World Cup, they're just as good as any other country. That's a good point.
Yeah, it's good to see that, because I know that was kind of the problem before with Major League Soccer kind of interceding themselves, right? Where they weren't allowing these kids to do a transfer because I guess maybe they thought the European teams were lowballing or whatever. So, but you bring up the good point where, they're developing their players and they're looking to, hey, we don't want to just like keep them. We want to sell these kids and get them the exposure and experience in Europe, which is really, really cool to see.
Yeah, and I think it's good for the clubs, not just for the kids, right? Like, you develop this reputation of being a feeder team or a good development team, and you're going to have more European clubs routinely, come to the, the shopping, the bargaining table and looking at you more, and you're going to have more selling power. Yeah, so I think it's smart for the club in the long run for sure.
Very cool. Very cool. So can we talk about USA and Mexico without getting too contentious? Are we good?
Why would we get contentious?
Well, like
we're all Americans here, aren't we?
Dude, I'm wearing camo.
Yeah, I know. What's that?
Did
you go hunting today? Where
are
you at?
Funny. Well, I'm using this mainly because I don't know. I found it at the DI at Desert Industries for $2. It's like I can't turn that down.
Do you have a gun rack in your car too?
What's that line from World?
I don't even own a gun.
Let alone many guns.
Let alone. Yes.
Oh, good stuff, man. Yeah, I'm excited for Thursday. It's going to be cool, but unfortunately, I might have to miss the game because of a wedding reception that Allison and I are going to. But I'll be tracking it the whole time on my phone. But yeah, I want to see Flo get into the mix. I want to see what the team can do. It'd be nice to see a competitive match again since everything's been going down with the head coaching situation, right? It's kind of interesting. Since last time we've talked, there's been a lot that's gone on with the national team. So to see him get out there on the field, get a competitive action, especially against Mexico, I'm really excited for Thursday.
Yeah, me too. What do you think about the coaching search? Should we go Jesse Marsch or go Folarin? What are you thinking, Marcel?
I like some of these American options. I would say Jesse Marsch for sure, because I think he's just got a better team to work with. He's got, and I think the style of play that he has is like sort of what the U.S. needs. But thinking this out loud, maybe Marcelo Bielsa would be a good option too. He's like, we're going to play attacking football and, fun football, regardless of who we're playing. And I think that's pretty ballsy and sort of very, American, the American spirit, right? Just go out there and play.
Mm-hmm.
And we actually have talent to do that. So I'm curious, like if of Marcelo Bielsa, I don't even know if he's available on that, but for some reason the Leeds connection just kind of came in my, but Jesse Marsh, like, yeah, why not? Maybe Big Sam Allardyce looking for a job,
when Big Sam shows up on your touchline, you're in trouble, man. That means things are going south.
Right?
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
Awesome, yeah, man. No, I think Jesse Marsh, like the All-American, like we can do it. We'll just out hustle and out tackle you is what we need for the World Cup on our home turf. Because I heard like Patrick Vieira was even like an option, and he'd be great, but we need I think World Cup on our soil, a young squad. Like we kind of do need almost the, cheerleader American that's gonna just, have a chip on their shoulder.
Yeah,
I think that's what our boys need.
Yeah, I like that idea too. And you mentioned, sometimes there's just wild names that get thrown out there, and you don't know how like realistic they potentially could be. Like I've even heard like Zidane in the past. But yeah, Jesse Marsh, I think, would probably be the best realistic option, I guess, at this point.
Yeah.
But
we'll see.
Yeah. Very cool, man. Very cool. Anything else with the national team that you guys wanted to discuss?
Oh, so I don't know if you've seen some of those headlines, but I think they were interviewing Christian Pulisic, and they're like, yeah, I know we're still looking for a coach, but he was like, they should actually really consider having, who was the last guy?
Berhalter, to have him back.
Berhalter, yeah. And he probably just said it in passing, but like the fact that some of the squad is sort of like, mad that Berhalter left,
Yeah, I had heard that too.
Gio Reyna's mad that he left.
Like his parents is like emails and shit to like
dude, hey, it's a family podcast, dude.
Sorry, email correspondence. But like, the emails that they had sent to like the head of US Soccer, it's like, are you kidding me? Like, what are they thinking?
Entitled, man.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, we talked about it, man, that it was probably the best time to let Berhalter go, after Qatar. But at the same time, I hate the idea of just like, the soccer parents getting involved. Like, I see it now. Just, my 6-year-old daughter playing softball. We've seen parents just go crazy, and they're like, dude, it's just like 6-year-old kids playing.
Yeah. So, yeah. The thing is, though, besides that, it never works out to have a non-winning coach take 2 teams to 2 cycles in a row.
Yeah.
France did it, but they were winning cups, or going to the finals.
Yeah.
But it's you don't do it. Like, it never works.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, besides all that stuff, you have to go new blood, new cycle.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool, man. So actually, I'm really excited to talk about this Messi news, man. It caught me off guard, but at the same time, I just kind of like almost anticipated that someday he would eventually come to play for Major League Soccer. What was your reaction when you heard the news earlier this week?
I was pumped. I was happy. Miami's going to get, I don't know if they have a big enough stadium for the amount of people who are going to try to catch Messi, so I've been to Barcelona before, and I've been to a match where Messi played, and just see like the amount of, advertising and messaging is around one person. Like his face is everywhere, and not that Miami doesn't have that or needs that, but that's just another revenue stream for them to sort of capitalize on a big name. But man, I'm already looking at when he comes to LA.
Right?
So just to see if I can snag tickets. I mean, dude, the guy, regardless if you're Team Ronaldo or Team Messi, it's like you go and see greatness at any level.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm excited. I'm excited for that. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I went ahead and did the research and checked it out. So the Galaxy aren't going to be facing Miami the rest of this year, but Miami is coming to face LAFC at BMO Stadium now. I guess whatever they call their stadium.
Yeah.
And I guess ticket prices. I mean, they haven't even officially announced Messi's going to be there, but just people anticipating that he will be. Like the cheap seats are already going for like $500 now.
Oh, jeez.
No.
Jeez. So it's
I thought MLS was supposed to be the people's game, you know. That's how it was sold to us before.
But yeah, it looks like he's going to get a
man.
portion of the Apple TV subscriptions, which is cool. And then I love the fact that, I mean, anybody can subscribe. I've loved it so far for Apple TV subscriptions. Catch any game you want. Adidas, I mean, he signed a lifetime agreement with Adidas back in 2016, right? Or 17. So I guess he's going to be getting a cut from that as well. Potentially even like stakes or shares in Miami ownership as well. So I guess when he's done playing, he's eventually going to become part owner along with Beckham. So his deal is pretty sweet.
Yeah, I was always Team Ronaldo because I'm a Madrid fan. So I have to, I was obligated to hate on Messi. But I have to admit, though, the way Ronaldo handled this last season with Man U and then taking that money to go to Saudi Arabia, I don't know. I lost a lot of football and respect for him. And then when I heard, Messi was probably going to go to Saudi Arabia too, you're just like, man, what is going on? The PGA Tour, all these superstars, freaking Man City. You're just like, all this oil money is just like, I don't know, I don't know. That's probably not fair to say, but it was just
kinda... No, say it, because I think I have that same sentiment. It's like as pure as you would think that some footballers' intentions are, money's always going to be an issue, right? Like you have some like South American footballers who are playing and they have family members that they need to take care of.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying like Messi has his family's more than well taken care of, but he could have easily gone to Saudi Arabia or like the Middle East and played for some like ridiculous money.
They
but
offered him $400 million a year.
It's insane. But it's like to me it just blows my mind because like that money just is. I just don't have any sort of concept.
You can't wrap your head around it. And to Albert's point, he's gonna make a good. He's getting a lot in this deal, but not $400 million a year. But
right.
Where I now, well, not now. I've always had respect for him. I have a lot of respect for Messi. Is he's choosing like true legacy and building something. He's come to the States and he's going to be a part of this project that Beckham's doing. And this is going to have a lasting, legacy. It's not going to just be, a cash grab in some desert that no one's ever going to remember. And then it's going to play right into the World Cup being here. And it's the smart choice, And would you rather live and raise your family in the United States of America in Miami, freaking Florida, or take your daughters and wife to Saudi Arabia where they're not even allowed to drive a car and have to cover their heads, like, come on, dude. Is that worth $400 million when you're already like generationally wealthy for 10 generations? No.
Though I'm curious though, and this is like a question I always ask as like a thousandaire, like how many more millions, like at what point in your daily life, I mean, at what point does your lifestyle, I guess I get the real question is like how much more rich and comfortable can you feel getting millions and millions and millions of dollars a year, you're like $400 million a year just to play, 9 months out of the year, probably against people. But like, at what point does like the next million start to feel like nothing?
I was thinking about this earlier, and I knew we were going to talk about it. And again, I have to just admit, he is the GOAT. As much as I was in Team Ronaldo all those years and hated on him, and the way he handled himself in this World Cup, Messi is not a narcissist. He's an extreme competitor, but he's not. But you look at like Ronaldo and these other guys, they're freaking narcissists to the core. And so they're just looking at like, I'm going to be the guy that's the highest paid player in the world. And, it's kind of that, like you said, there's never a limit on how much they can make. Like it's a disease, it's a sickness. And so that's where I have to give it to Messi, to where like it's, again, he can write a check anywhere he goes. He's the GOAT. No one could touch him. So he's making the logical, like, sporting, cultural legacy decision, and it's brilliant, dude. He just freaking Heisman Ronaldo, dude. He just put him out. Like he just outplayed him. This move he just showed him up. It's brilliant.
But doesn't it play into that sort of narrative that they've been put in like their whole lives, right? Like,
yeah,
you've got this like kid who has like some developmental like issues, like with growth, and he gets picked up by Barcelona, and then now he's like a guy who they molded into being like a great player, was around, and it's just an amazing player. But like, you have Ronaldo, who's like sculpted by the gods, and like an athletic specimen, and it's always been that like tale of like two different footballers, like one humble and one prideful and proud.
Exactly. No, so it's played out exactly like that in this decision.
The humility of Messi, I think, is going to come in handy because, again, he's coming to, yes, it's the desirable market to come to a big market city, especially Miami, but coming to a Miami team that really isn't very good. In fact, I hate to say it, but the only team worse is the Galaxy right now. But
he has no clue.
See what Miami does. I mean, we've seen other big European stars come over. I mean, that was kind of the problem that Beckham was having initially, playing for a Galaxy team that wasn't very good. But then they made the right moves and got in Bruce Arena, brought in Robbie Keane, shored up the defense. So I'm wondering if Miami's going to be doing moves like that. It's kind of interesting that I was listening to the In Soccer We Trust podcast with Jimmy Conrad, and he mentioned that Vegas already put the odds of them winning previously from like 200 to 1 to now 100 to 1, which still isn't very good. But I mean, the fact that Messi's offense will for sure carry the team, but how far, we'll have to wait and see. But it does seem that, yes, his humility, I think, will help him if he's playing for a team that's like conceding just as many goals as he's scoring.
It's going to be hilarious to watch this first season and a half. Like, it's like it's like watching a pro go out and play on like a high school team. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to see like these beautiful passes just like fluffed. You know what I mean? Just screwed up. It'll be entertaining for a while until, like you said, they build around them.
For some reason, I've always thought about this, about how when Beckham went to the Galaxy, and then I was thinking to myself, I'm like, wait, he just finished playing with Real Madrid. He was at Man United, and thinking like, how was he going to like integrate himself into the squad? And I think I remember like after he had left for PSG and had already retired, there were like instances where he was telling stories about when he was in LA, and it genuinely sounded like he was like a part of the team, like really like friends with people that he had played with, and thinking how cool it was for those people who Beckham had played with, and like sort of like seeing who he was as a person and a footballer instead of like David Beckham, this like world icon, like, and almost thinking the same, like, hopefully people have that same experience with Messi, because, up to right now, I don't really know that much about Messi, like, sure. And then like, and the only few people like staff and players get to see that side. So I'm like really excited for, the Miami people and fans to see a part of that with the existing team. I think it's going to be like a growing experience for like everyone.
and it's going to be fun. Like when Beckham was here, how much, he got pulled into other sporting events and talk shows and American TV shows, which was obvious because how do you ignore David Beckham in the United States playing for an American league? And so it like forced these people to recognize the league and kind of reluctantly admit like, okay, we have a soccer league in this country. You know what I mean? It'll be funny. It'll be really cool to see the same thing happen with Messi. He's going to be at every Super Bowl, every big NFL game, every big NBA final. He's going to be there, highlighted, every big event, every talk show. And it's going to just do so much exposure for the game, the sport. Not that we need more exposure in this country, but like we still struggle with being legitimate in the media, so I think that will be really cool to see.
Yeah. Has Messi hosted SNL before? That might be next on his list, right?
Wait till you see Messi throwing the first pitch out of like a Marlins game or something. Like that'll be just surreal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, sort of like to your point, Derek, like I think I heard like a stat that when Messi announced that he was like not going to come back to PSG, there was like 600,000 followers that PSG lost. And then Inter Milan, their like team Instagram account like went up like 600,000 followers.
Yeah.
So it's like even more. I think it's like quadrupled. In fact, I remember reading the stat like they surpassed the Galaxy for the highest Instagram followers, and I think they're like top 5 in all sports scenes in United.
I didn't even think of that. I'm gonna go follow them right now, man.
Yeah.
But it's pretty great. So they have more than the Heat, and I mean they're top 5 or something like that. But I mean they're getting the exposure as Derek mentioned, which is really cool to see. And that's why I really hope to see Messi, integrate himself with his teammates and just be the really personal guy, because I think he has that attitude and personality. But like you said, Marcelo, I don't really know him or follow him that super closely, but it kind of just seems like he gives off that vibe.
Yeah.
You think of the random kids in, I don't know, just Indonesia that are going to purchase the Apple subscription to watch Messi play. And when he's in freaking Columbus, Ohio, like, Cincinnati, like these teams are going to become like known worldwide in the most random places because someone wants to watch Messi play and he's in Real Salt Lake, and they'll be confused. Like, why is it a Real? Is that Spanish and American words? Like, it's gonna be hilarious, but awesome. It's you can't quantify that, with dollars. I guess you can, but that's cool.
Yeah,
for us, for American MLS fans,
Very cool, man. Good stuff. Yeah, so I'm excited for when he actually comes. I mean, they're saying tentatively in July. I think there's been a few dates that have been thrown out, so we'll just have to wait and see. But I'll definitely be tuning in as soon as his first game for Miami.
I think his first game's against a Mexican team.
Oh, I think so. I think yeah.
That's hilarious.
I think I did see that.
The Mexican League's so good. They've been around so long, and you're just like, really? An MLS team's got Messi now? Like, come on. And they'll still probably whoop on him. You know what I mean? Like, geez, these Americans. Like, oh, God.
Wait, Messi's 34 years old, right?
I think 35.
Yeah, I think
but around there, mid-30s, yeah.
Yeah. And Ronaldo's 38, right? Going on 39?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Because I mean, I know we, like this comparison between them two, like everyone said that, so Ronaldo's third team was like Juventus, and then they were making these comparisons that like Leo was taking the easy route because he's going to the MLS as his third team, just I mean, it's sort of irrelevant, because soccer is not soccer everywhere, but again, it's like a tale of two superheroes.
But I'll give Messi credit there because he did want to go back to Barcelona. They couldn't pull it off. So he wasn't going to do the Ronaldo thing and go to another European country and just play for the best team in that country, Barcelona screwed that up. And so his options were, because he wasn't going to go play for another European team if it wasn't Barcelona. So you had Saudi Arabia or MLS, and obviously there's no choice between the two. MLS all day.
What? Yeah, but it's so funny too. Like just hearing some of like FC Barcelona's like hearing like their sort of like, oh well, they had to make a statement why Messi didn't come back. It's like, dude, just count your losses and just move on. Just like be happy for him, you know?
Yeah. They screwed it up, and the whole reason he left to begin with. That's on them, man.
Yeah.
But anyways.
Yeah, I had heard something to the effect of like that if Barcelona were gonna re-sign Messi, they'd have to like cut players, cut salary, do all these things that was gonna like affect the livelihood of other players. And then Messi was actually against that, reportedly. So that's actually a pretty cool thing too.
They should have Barcelona should have cut a deal with Apple TV then.
Yeah, there you go.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I talked about it briefly with Nick a couple of months ago when he was on. I love the idea of streaming and actually, paying for your subscription as long as it's affordable, just to make sure that you get the teams that you want at any time you want. So I actually think it's a really cool idea if other leagues actually started doing something like that.
Man, it adds up. It's driving me crazy.
Yeah, I kind of
this Paramount Plus now and ESPN Plus. You're just like, and they're the good games, Everything's on USA Network, and then you're like looking for this one Man U game. It's like, where is it? It's on Peacock. You're like, sorry.
Yeah, this is a family. This is a family.
Lo siento.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff.
And then I'm like, hey, Joshua, what's your password and login information?
Well, I mean, I was thinking about this today. It's like a few friends of mine, like I'm in charge of like the Peacock, and they're in charge of YouTube TV and HBO Max, and we share each other's logins. And
you might want
it's
to
just so funny,
out, Albert.
No, of course, Marcello.
We share each other. Well, we're sharing each other's logins, right? But I thought to myself, if I were paying for each of those services, it at the end of the at the end of the month, it's like I might as well be, ordering satellite TV or something.
Back where we started.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, good for them, but also like bad for us.
Yeah, well, the difference though is that satellite TV isn't offering all that stuff. So you they're not offering the cool shows, like say something like The Mandalorian on Disney Plus or like Cobra Kai on Netflix. So I'm listening to shows that I like, really.
But that's two different services right there, right?
Yeah.
That's what, almost $30 for those two, and then you haven't even touched the sport streaming.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm depressed now.
Okay, well, that wasn't my intent.
Get a Fire Stick, whatever it's called.
Oh, I have a Fire Stick.
Very cool, man. Very cool. But that was all the talking points for soccer that I had for tonight. Did you guys have anything else you wanted to bring up, or are you ready to wrap up?
No, I think it was a great football season, man. This was a fun season.
Fun season.
Good luck to you, Arsenal fans, next year.
We have to,
because Man U's looking really good, man.
Wait, who did you all sign?
Shut up. We're going through ownership change. We're about to get Saudi Arabia money. It's going to be great.
It's so funny.
I'm all about Saudi Arabia money now.
Well, like,
drill, baby, drill.
Oh my gosh! I mean, from one dude. But tell me this though. Like, I think they're off by like $1 billion, right?
I don't know. It's so confusing. It's the Glazers, so nothing makes sense in the negotiations.
I feel you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, it's going to be, I guess, a long summer, but there's usually cool things to entertain us, keep us occupied until then. But yeah. And then Messi coming actually makes more, I guess, like even more interest in MLS, which is cool. The fact that, sports are going on all year long. There's always something to watch, which is pretty cool.
That's good.
Yeah. Well, if there's nothing else for tonight, Marcello, Derek, thank you guys for joining me. It's always a blast to talk to you guys, talk about soccer. We'll get together again and do this soon. And yeah, looking forward to next time we get to talk about it.
Appreciate you guys.
right, have a good night, guys. And you've been listening to Casting for Fun podcast. Thanks, everybody.